Wow, is it time for me to start speaking already? It is? Okay, well, I guess I will do that. Welcome to Student of the Gun Radio. It is Monday. At least it's Monday when we release it. It could be any day of the week because of the magic of the internet and on-demand radio. But regardless, it doesn't really matter what day it is. It doesn't matter what time it is. All that matters is that you are listening louder right now at this very moment in time. You might be trucking down the road on a road trip and you saved up a whole bunch of radio material. You downloaded a whole bunch of podcasts or what have you, and you're trucking down the road. You've got it plugged into your car speakers and you're listening. If so, 10 and 2, wear your seatbelt, pay attention, heads up, don't mess with your phone. You know, Jared, the great thing about using your phone to play radio or download to stream radio or what have you is that if it's hooked up to your speakers, you're less likely to pick it up and fuss with it while you're driving. Oh, really? You fuss with yours while you're driving even though
No, I have an automatic responder.
Oh.
When it's connected to my Bluetooth, it says, hey, I'm driving.
It says you're driving, right.
And it doesn't notify me at all. So
yeah. So, anyway, we're going to get into that here in a little bit, but welcome to Student of the Gun Radio. I am your host, Professor Paul Markle, in case you didn't know. We are broadcasting from Student of the Gun University, and I am currently sitting inside of the glass case of Emotion Studios. That's right, this is where all the magic happens. And the voice that you just heard a moment ago, in case you didn't know, is Jared. Jared is the producer, the studio engineer, the man with the plan, and the bruised and battered. Well, he's not bruised and battered anymore.
I'm tired.
Occasionally
tired.
bruised and
long
battered.
week.
You should maybe. You know what? Everyone just screamed at the radio. They just screamed SWAT fuel at you. I SWAT fueled on the way down and on the way back, and it helped me a great deal. As a matter of fact, I was surprised last night that I was not as tired as I thought I would be, because usually we was a good solid 11-hour shot.
Yeah,
I put in. I think the odometer said 1,400 miles.
Oh wow, it's that far.
No, back and forth.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow.
It was like 700.
Yeah.
700 down.
That's still quite a bit.
But yeah.
I did. Alex caught me on camera yesterday, or I don't know, a couple of days ago. I'm really bad with time frame, so it was either yesterday or sometime in the recent past.
Recent past? Near future?
Yeah,
near future past?
She caught me on camera taking SWAT fuel, and I didn't know it. And she's like, and I turned around, and she was holding the camera on me. She's like, are you Jared Markle, and did you just take SWAT fuel? I was like, yep. And she I think she posted that in the grad program. She posted it somewhere on Facebook. It was in one of those groups.
Somewhere, someplace.
Somebody saw it, yeah.
Someone saw it.
Pretty sure it was a grad program group.
But,
because I said a naughty word.
Oh, yeah, I hope that it was for them. So, all right, well, let's dive into it. It is Monday, and because it's Monday on Student of the Gun Radio, that means that it is SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week Day, and Jared has our Warrior of the Week all picked out. But before we do that, before we get any farther in, I want to remind you guys that what we're doing a little special here the last couple of weeks is we're asking you to thank one sponsor of Student of the Gun Radio per week. Now, I'm not saying that I don't want you to check out the rest of the sponsors' websites or stores or what have you, but I understand that it's a burden to some of you to go to every single sponsor and thank them. So what we've been doing this is the third week, is we've asked you to just take a moment to go over to the social media page or the website of an individual sponsor and say, hey, thank you for sponsoring Student of the Gun. Because if it wasn't for you guys, they wouldn't be able to do what they do. And we do a lot of what we do. We do it 4 times a week, which if you listen to other on-demand shows or podcasts or what have you, you'll realize, whether it's on iTunes or Stitcher or Pod Gallery or whatever you pod and listen and stream at, most of them do 1 a week. Some of them do 2 a week. And a lot of them, if they're a long show, let's say a 3-hour show, on Sunday they'll record a 3-hour show and then they break it up. And we actually are giving you material Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's the public broadcast. And then on Friday, we have the special Big Boy, Big Girl broadcast, which is for the grad program members. Now, the grad program is an all-access, 24/7, behind the scenes. You get more student of the gun than a human being should be allowed to have, really. And Jared, I keep getting this question. People say, "What's this Big Boy hour about?" Or "What's this special hour? Or how do I get that?" Or I went to your website and I was looking for the tab so I could listen to it, and it wasn't there. Well, there's a reason that the tab's not there, because the grad program hour on Friday that we do is Big Boy, Big Girl discussion time. And
there actually are tabs there now.
There are tabs there?
Yeah, okay. Since we released the new grad program last week.
Well,
it's
tell
official.
Them where they should go and what they should do.
Yeah, it's official. The new grad program is available for you guys. It's much easier. I've had everybody that signed up has said it is much easier to use than the other one. You can do it from your mobile device if you are so inclined to do that, and most of you probably are. But that's available. Go to studentofthegunradio.com, and you can just navigate from there. There's buttons that you can click. It's really easy to get to the grad program. And then every bonus hour will be posted on the website, and obviously the access is restricted to grad program members only, so you won't be able to listen to the episode, but you'll see the post on the home page.
You won't be able to listen until you sign up.
Yeah. Once you sign up, you get access to every single bonus hour ever produced, and that's there too. There's a table that tells you exactly what you get when you sign up. So if you're curious and you don't remember, go there. It should say something like a new bonus hour every week, access to all the old ones, a new tactical tutor every month, and access to all the old ones.
All the old tactical tutors.
Yeah, the exclusive Facebook group. Obviously, you get student discounts. You get stuff like that. Special offers. Oh, and we have affiliate discounts too. Like SWAT Fuel is an affiliate. You get a discount with their if you order from them, you get a special grad program discount.
And special
AAFU.
Special announcements like, for instance, the Dick Cancer, Wrong Leg Dick Cancer stickers, which are sold out.
Yeah,
they sold out to the grad program members. So sorry, but that's what happens. Now, and if you're brand new, you're like real new, and you're like, what is going on with this? What we will do is once in a while we'll come out with a special limited edition product. And if you're in the grad program, you find out about it first.
So here's the deal. With the new grad program, I have the ability to make special products available only through that platform. They will never be on studentofthegear.com. They will only be available to people that actually are part of the grad program. And that is a nice value added for you guys. I'm glad that I have the opportunity to do that.
Speaking of which, in addition to all the other stuff and junk and nonsense that we were just talking about, one of the most fun parts about being a Student of the Gun grad program member, and I swear I'm going to finish up and move on, is the fact that you get access to the Facebook.
Yeah, I know. People are awesome there.
And did you see that Mike just put up a meme? It's a bunch of Canada geese, and it says illegal invaders.
Yeah.
See, that's somebody who's listening louder. That's someone who's actually listening louder. And the reason he knows about that is because we talked about the swan killing the man, a man who was drowned by a swan. On the grad program on Friday. He wasn't drowned on the grad program itself, but on the grad program we talked about that. During the grad program we talked about that. All right, go ahead. Let's without further ado, hippies. Oh, did we tell them that Duracoat was the feature sponsor? Okay,
you told them
Duracoat is the feature sponsor.
However,
this week's feature sponsor is Duracoat, custom firearms finishes.
There are links directly to the website.
Yes, go to Duracoat, their Facebook page or what have you, or Instagram or
LauerWeaponry.com.
Lauer Weaponry, and check those guys out. All right, Jared, let us know who our Warrior of the Week is.
I will let you guys know that. But first, I want to tell you, if you are the Warrior of the Week, I need you to email Alex, Alex, at studentofthegun.com. Send her your name, your mailing address, your phone number, and your email. And I know you're probably like, why should I do that? Because you want your free bottle of SWAT Fuel 9mm plus P. That is why you should do that.
Hello, my name is Danny Crawford, and my question is, why is it they always tell you not to change anything in your carry gun, like springs and triggers and such, but they never say anything about that, like for your rifle? Could you explain that to me? Thank you for your time. Bye.
That is a good question, and make sure that you're sending Alex, ALEX, at Student of the Gun, your email and all that good jazz so you can get your free SWAT fuel. Here's the dealio. What if you talk to an honest attorney, an honest defense attorney, or somebody who's an expert witness, what they will tell you is in a, whether it's a civil case or a criminal case, if the facts are with them, they will attack the facts. For instance, if they believe that you are guilty of a crime, they will focus hard and heavy on the law and the infraction of the law. If the facts don't support their case, what they will do is they will attack you as an individual, or they will try to attack your character. And part of the character assassination is to attack your gear or your choice of gear. Or, for instance, if you have a slimy scumbag politician prosecutor in Philadelphia or Miami or wherever it is you happen to live, and you engage in a justifiable use of force exercise, and you end up shooting and killing a bad person, and because the person in question, the prosecutor in question, is a political animal and they are a piece of human excrement, they decide that they're going to attack you to appease, let's say, that you don't have the same skin tone as the person you shot. So they decide that they're going to crucify you just because, so they can get points. Janet Reno was one of these people who did that. You'll see things like that, for instance, from people like who's that scumbag that's running Chicago now? Little Rami Emanuel. People like that will attack you, even though you say, but what I did was right. I saved my own life. Well, yeah, we know that, but you would make a great sacrificial lamb. If the facts don't support their charges, they'll stop worrying about the charges and they'll try and crucify you based upon, oh, did you know that this guy was an NRA life member? Did you know that he is registered as owning 12 guns? Why would anyone want to own 12 guns? He's obviously a psychopath. And along with that, then they'll start dissecting what is the caliber, flavor, all that nonsense with the gun. Now this is, and you can't stop them from doing that, but what you can do is you can hire expert witnesses and explain to the jury and the judge, look, buddy, it's as simple as this. Am I justified in protecting my own life? Do I have a right to self-defense, yes or no? Well, yes, you do. Okay, in this case, is the deceased or the maimed or crippled or whoever the piece of human filth is that attacked me, do I have the right, or does my client or whatever have the right to protect themselves from that person, yes or no? Well, yes. What are the circumstances? They look at the circumstances. And unless you really screwed up hardcore, the circumstances probably will look like, yeah, this guy actually did. He's minding his own business. Johnny Scumbag attacked him, and he used a tool. So now we're just parsing words, or we're just splitting hairs like, well, which tool are you allowed to use? From a 100%, I guess, natural law standpoint, when you go all the way back to natural law, man's law, is it justifiable for someone, and I've said this before, but it fits in real. Would it be justified for me to use a club to defend myself in justifiable self-defense? Well, yeah. How about a baseball bat? Well, yeah. How about a knife? Well, yeah. How about a whatever? How about a firearm? Well, yeah. So if it's justifiable to use a firearm in this case, then are we going to split the atom and determine which kind of firearm? So what you're telling me is it would be okay to use a standard configuration Smith & Wesson Model 10 revolver to stop this guy from hurting me, but it's not okay for me to use a $3,000 custom, whatever, hooba-duper, a Wilson Combat or whatever. And you're like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense, Paul. Well, no, it doesn't make any sense. It's disingenuous and it's a lie. And if the facts don't support their case, they're going to try and taint the jury and taint the judge by this smoke and mirrors trick. And what you need to know is you need to know that exists, and you need to have expert witnesses to rebut that. And essentially, I mean, what I'm saying to you, an expert witness could look at 12 sixth-grade educated dolts that are sitting in the jury box, grandmas, who watch a lot of Oprah, that kind of crowd, and they could walk them through it. They could hold their hands and walk them through it real slowly. Say, would it have been justified for Mr. Jones to defend his own life from an unlawful, unwarranted attack by using a hammer or a brick or whatever? And they're all like, yeah. So what difference does it make? And if he would have killed him with a .22 rifle, would he be any less dead than if he was shot with a .50 BMG? Well, no, dead is dead. Blood is blood. It's a lot of nonsense. Now, when it comes to changing out parts, what you need to ask yourself before you change out parts is this new part going to make the firearm, the machine, more reliable or less reliable? You're like, well, that's stupid, Paul. Well, of course it's going to make it more reliable. Not always. I've been playing this game for a long time. And I've seen lots of gadgets and widgets and all kinds of different things come and go for 30-plus years. Things that, the good idea fairy landed on somebody's shoulder and took a dump, and they're like, oh, look at that, the good idea fairy's here. The good idea fairy says that I should put an extended magazine release button on my pistol. Why? So you can... What in the world is that crap for? Oh, so I can dump the mags really fast. Well, what's the most important thing, fighting or dumping mags? And here's what I will ask you. Does the tool, what does the component, spring, trigger, whatever, does it make the gun more reliable or less reliable? And there are a lot of things that are designed for gamesmanship, that are designed for accurizing or accuracy. I can accurize your gun. If you send me your gun, I can accurize it. And you send a gun off to a guy and he accurizes it, but it won't fire 3 shots in a row. It won't cycle 3 rounds in a row. And you're like, wow, it's really super accurate if I can get a round off. Yeah, that kind of stuff. If the modification increases or enhances the reliability of the tool and makes it easier for you to use in a stressful situation, rock on. Awesome. If it doesn't, if it's either A, just cosmetic, or if the part makes the gun more fragile or unreliable, then it's a no-go. And I'll give you a fantastic example. If you have somebody like Massad Ayoob or any other John Farnham, any other expert witness, they could actually explain to the 12 knuckleheads in the jury box that heavy triggers on guns actually make the guns less safe. Like, what? No, I'm not talking about a 7/8 ounce, trigger. I'm talking about the difference between a 5.5 pound trigger and a 15 pound trigger. They can explain to those knuckleheads that a 5.5 pound trigger actually makes the gun more safe because the person holding it is more likely to actually hit what they're aiming at, as opposed to New York triggers, which apparently cause NYPD officers to just launch bullets indiscriminately all over the landscape. That's not just me talking. That is the fact. When you launch 84 rounds and 1 out of the 84 actually hits the bad guy, that's a gleaming example of why the New York trigger is a horrible idea. My point is this. You can explain that if given the time. What I'm going to tell you, whether it's a rifle, pistol, shotgun, doesn't matter. If the part or component that you are considering putting on that enhances the reliability and makes it easier for you to hit what you're shooting without making the gun larger, heavier, more cumbersome, go for it. But you need to ask yourself, am I doing this for practicality purposes, or is this new super cool thing? When a lot of quote-unquote match guns, the tolerances are so tight that the gun's unreliable. Look at the AK-47. You know, most modern gun manufacturers look at the AK and they're like, the tolerances are sloppy and crappy in that gun. Yeah, they're sloppy and crappy, and it makes the gun run really, really well. It's very reliable. Custom gun makers hate the Glock. It's an unsupported chamber, and I hate the Glock. It's terrible. Yeah, but you buy a Glock 17 or a Glock 19 or whatever, and you could put 10,000 rounds through it without a hiccup, unless your magazines go bad. So why are we doing what we're doing? That is what you need to ask yourself. And if you're afraid of the you changed your gun boogeyman, don't carry a gun. Because the fact is, if you carry the gun, it puts a bullseye on your back that only liberal prosecuting scumbags can see. So, if that's your main fear in life, your first fear needs to be of death, keeping yourself alive. And after you've determined to keep yourself alive and do whatever you need to keep yourself alive, then worry about the other stuff. I hope that helps. I hope that wasn't too long of an explanation, but I wanted to address that. Fighting rifles need a good trigger. Not a fantastic trigger, but a good trigger. I know some military guns just have atrocious triggers that are really heavy. A light on it and a sling, and usually for a fighting gun, that's good. Now, if you're going to do long-range stuff, the trigger obviously needs to be better. There's two things. Any good rifle needs to have the heart and soul of a good rifle are the barrel, and which includes the chamber, and the crown, and then, of course, the trigger. Those things combined make a good rifle or not. Stocks and cosmetics and rails and paint jobs and all that other stuff is nice, but good trigger, good barrel is essential for rifle marksmanship. After that, it's just kind of personal choice. All right, thank you very much for participating in the SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week program. And guys, make sure that you're calling in each and every week, 682-207-7684 for even more. Well, leave your things. Jared knows.
Yeah, 762. 682-207-7684. Go download the Student of the Gun mobile app from either the iTunes App Store or whatever they call it now, iTunes Marketplace, the Android App Store. I guess that's Google
Play Store.
Yeah, Google Play Store. Download that from there. You can click on the Call Us tab, and you can get directly through to the SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week line. I have another assignment for you guys, and that is to call that number and leave a question.
Ta-da! All right, before I get into the road trip and the Mookie visit, I want to thank Frog Lube. Thank you, Frog Lube at froglube.com. Century Arms, centuryarms.com, sponsor of the mobile app and Student of the Gun Radio, and Brownells. Now, you guys know if you go to brownells.com, you can order Frog Lube there, and you can also order Duracoat, the can technology. And I've got something that I'm going to be Duracoating real soon, which leads me into my the story and discussion of the road trip. I was not planning on doing this, but it just happened. I had a personal family issue that I needed to take care of in Florida, in the state of Florida. So Zachary, the shipping ogre, and I, last week, the middle of last week, we jumped in the truck and we drove over to Florida to take care of our family. And everything, when I got to Florida, I wasn't sure what I was going to encounter, but things are stable. Things are good with the family. Things are, they're not fantastic, but they're good. They're stable. And I'm not going to get into my, too deep into my personal life. But I got there, saw the family, talked, figured out what was going on. Everything is more stable. And like I said, I was relieved to have gotten there. I got there. And so what we did is all right, well, here we are. We're in Florida. We're just outside of Tampa. Everyone is pretty stable. Everyone's calm. Everyone's okay. Well, fantastic. Well, I don't get to Tampa, Florida very much. Hardly ever anymore. Maybe like every couple of years. And I knew thanks to my friend Zach Hall. Zach told me, he said, dude, if you ever get over to the Tampa area, because there's a bunch of people over there. There's like a whole little Tampa Bay firearms mafia kind of going on. And I didn't have time to see everybody, but I was able to pop over to Safety Harbor Firearms. Now, I've been familiar with Safety Harbor Firearms for a long time. Their big thing, or the big product that they make, there's two products that people get all jazzed up about. One, they make these super shorty entry shotguns. They take an 870, and it's basically a pistol grip and vertical foregrip, front deal. And it's just like it looks like something that Cobra, not Rambo, but when Stallone was playing Cobra, that movie, you guys all know. It looks like something he would use, and it may have actually, that gun may have been in that movie or that. So people get really super jacked up about the shorty pump shotguns. They only hold like 3 rounds or something crazy. But people like them, whatever. They get all chubby for them. And then the other thing they make, which is kind of like the polar opposite. So you have this super compact pump action, Remington shotgun. And then all the way on the other end of the spectrum, they have bolt action, both single shot and magazine fed 50 caliber rifles. Now they make a standalone rifle, and they also make an AR upper, a 50 caliber upper receiver for an AR. And those are really cool. I've tried out several of those over the years, but I've never had an opportunity to actually get my hands on one from Safety Harbor. But, my friend Zach and the guys over there at Atlas in Baton Rouge, what is Atlas's full name, Jared? Is it Atlas Defense Incorporated? Atlas Defense. As many of you may know, they make a 50 BMG suppressor. You're like, what? They make things like that? Yeah, they make things like that. They make a 50 BMG suppressor. So the last Safety Harbor gun that I actually got to hold and look at, I didn't get to shoot one because we weren't out at a range where we could shoot 50 cal. We weren't even at a range. We were in an indoor range. Usually they frown upon you shooting 50 BMG at indoor ranges. I don't know why. They all just seem to have a problem with that. But it was built on, the guys at Atlas Defense, they put their 50 BMG suppressor onto a Safety Harbor gun, onto one of the Safety Harbor bolt actions. And Zach said, hey, man, if you get over to Tampa, try and go see those guys. So I cold called him. I had no idea I was going to have the time to visit until it happened, basically, until the afternoon. And so I went online and I called, and it was Walt's wife who answered the phone, Peggy. And I said, hey, this is who I am, and I'm in the neighborhood, and can I come over? Can Paul come over and play? And she's kind of like, yeah, if you want to. She says, we really don't have a gun store. She says, we have a reception area, and you can look at stuff. And I said, well, if you don't mind, I'd like to come over. So long story short, drove over, found the place, no problem. And it's very much like many custom gun shops in the world, where you see these cool, slick, finished products. But when you make slick, finished products, there's a lot of machinery. There's milling machines, CNC machines, big manufacturing tables with dirty parts and grease and stuff. It doesn't look pretty. Most of these guns are made in non-air conditioned shops that have giant power fans, sucking the air in and out the other end. And it's not something that's like made for movies. It doesn't look pretty, but your stuff comes from there. If you've ever ordered a custom-built rifle, custom-built pistol, what have you, it was probably built in a shop very much like this one. But Walt and his wife Peggy were super, super generous, very, very gracious hosts. Zach was with me, Zach the shipping ogre. We went over there, and I said, hey, I know you're not expecting me, and you got a business to run, but I wanted to see and talk to you about these 50 BMG rifles. And he said, "Oh, sure, we can talk about them all you want." He's telling me about the magazine-fed one, how they just recently, changed the magazine latch and to improve it and so forth. And he said, "But what I'm really, really, really super excited about is this." And he popped open the safe, and he pulled out this little shorty AR with a retractable stock on it. And I was like, "Ooh, that is slick." Not only is that slick, but it's a high-quality component. It's a very well-built piece of gear. And what you do, the kit that he's got, he calls it the compact entry stock. But in order to be different, unique, to spice it up, to get people's attention, they spelled compact with a K. And for short, it's the KES, the capital K, compact entry stock. But the compact entry stock, what you do, it comes as a kit because it won't mount over your standard buffer tube, over your standard AR buffer tube. You have to get their buffer tube. How many of you guys out there in the audience either are familiar with the retractable MP5 stock, or if you're a hardcore old school dude, how many of you old school dudes out there remember when Remington was making combat shotguns with steel retractable stocks? I know very few of you out there remember that. I do, because I used to carry one when I was with the Marine Detachment. When I first got with the Marine Detachment, this is before the Marine Corps adopted the Mossberg. We had Remington 870s. And we had a few of them with wooden stocks and wooden fore ends. And then we had a couple that had pistol grips and steel retractable stocks with these rubber swiveling butt pads. And they added like 1.5 pounds to the gun. They were monsters, but they looked cool. And when you're a 20, 21-year-old Marine, what's more important, lightweight or looking cool? Because they would let us choose. Like when we would go on patrol, you could either carry the standard wooden stock version, or you could carry the retractable stock version with the pistol grip. And you know that I took the pistol grip one until you'd done it about 12 times. And then you're like, you know what? I don't care about looking cool anymore. I want to take the lighter gun. But when you first start, you're like, yeah, that is cool. I'm taking that one. Well, it's very similar to that. It has a dual rail system on the left and right, and when it's closed, it sits all right up against the back of the gun. Extremely compact, very smooth lines. There's no gaps or what have you. It doesn't rattle. It's made out of aluminum and steel. It's not plastic parts. This isn't junk. This is real gear. And then you pull it out, and he's got two versions. He has an incremental adjustment version, and then he has one that's just closed and open. So you have an adjustable version, and then you have the closed-open version. You say, well, I don't really care. Rock on. I don't care either. Buy whatever you want. But you get an entire kit because you have to replace the buffer tube. He gives you a buffer spring, a new buffer tube, the sliding stock. And because of the way it's set, the standard AR-15 bolt carrier is actually too long. So he gives you a new bolt carrier. Now, it's not an entire bolt carrier group. It's just a bolt carrier. So you get the bolt carrier, the stock, the tube, the buffer spring, and then he even sends you a big old Allen wrench that you can use to install it. I haven't put mine on yet. As I'm talking to you guys, it's actually sitting in a box on my table with all the other gun-related stuff. And quite frankly, I haven't figured out which gun I'm going to put it on yet. But it's pretty slick, and I'm kind of excited about it. He showed me several different versions that he had on different guns, and so I'm looking forward to it. Now you're saying, wow, Paul, I'm looking forward to it too. I'm kind of excited. Where do I go? Safety Harbor Firearms. Just go to safetyharborfirearms.com. Let me make sure that that's exactly what it is. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it is. Safety Harbor. How you doing over there, Jared?
I'm doing well, and actually, this is a good time for me to do this because did you see what Chris Ellis posted in the grad program Facebook group?
If it's new, then the answer is
no.
No,
It's not new.
How old is it?
I don't know. It's whatever. Yes.
Just
the answer is no. It's not old. No, it's not new. Stop asking me questions and let me play this.
My name is Jared.
Because I haven't listened to it yet, so hopefully there's no bleepy words in it. But he said, if you ever get tired of the Vagination song, use this.
Pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows. Pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows. Pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows. Pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows.
So it's just like an endless loop.
Yep.
Big fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows.
Pink fluffy.
Pink fluffy unicorns. I think if you played that too much, that you'd send people to the roof.
Yeah.
People would be climbing into the
I was
clock
just thinking
tower.
that's probably going to be stuck in my head now.
You're sick.
Ooh, I bet
We've got some of the
I play this,
sickest, most twisted fans.
I'm going to undo this from the board, and I'm going to play it really loud for Zach, so he has to have it stuck in his head, because you know how he is.
But don't do that right now.
No.
Oh.
After we're done.
Okay. So long story short, if you guys go over to safetyharborfirearms.com, or if you're on Facebook, go over to Safety Harbor Firearms Facebook page. I know they have a Facebook page and they got pictures. Jump over there and say, hey, I heard about you turkeys on Student of the Gun, and what's the dealio, yo? They are available right now. The stocks are. They're available at the moment, because I asked him, I said, is this something you want to hold back? He's like, no, tell everybody you want. And I said, okay, I'm going to tell them. But let me tell you what, when I tell them, they're going to be excited, and they'll probably want to buy them. That you see these around a lot now. I know there are different companies that have them out. This one, I can tell you this for a fact, that I looked at several guns. I had to handle several guns that had these on them, and it's a solid piece of gear. Like I said, it's not plastic. It's not a toy. It's not one of these imported from Israel aluminum abortion type things. You guys know what I'm talking about. So there's that. Now, who else lives in the greater Tampa type area? And if you know anything about your Florida geography, or your, I guess, Gulf Coast Florida geography, you know that there's Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, and then there's like 500,000 other little tiny municipalities that are all piled on top of each other in that region. And if you live in Florida, or in Central Florida or the Gulf Coast of Florida, you know that you don't want to drive in and around Tampa. I know that now. I know that very well, that I want to either come in on a helicopter or land on the beach and walk off the beach. That's what I'm going to do in the future. I'm not going to drive around there anymore. I know people in L.A. are like, what? Well, I don't know. Does anybody listen to us in Los Angeles? If you're in Los Angeles listening to me right now, pop a red smoke, and we'll see you. Now, Ben Mookie Thomas lives in he doesn't live in Tampa proper, but he lives around Tampa. And this is another one. Ben's been on the road a lot. He's been pimping the Crusader and Spike's Tactical stuff like a fiend here lately. And if you follow Ben on social media, whether it's just Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, you know that half the time you see him, he's somewhere on the road. He just is. And I had no idea that I was going to be there, but I called him up and I said, dude, are you at home? Are you in Florida? And he said, yeah, I actually am. And he said, why? Where are you? And he said, I'll come meet you. I was like, no, you stay where you are. Stay where you are. Give me your address. I will come find you. And he said, okay, cool, rock on. This is where I am. So Zach and I got in the truck, and we were driving over there, and I turned off the main street onto the side street, and I knew based on looking at the map that I had to go up like 3 blocks and turn. And as we turned and I was heading to Ben's house, there was a rainbow over his street. I am not kidding you. I was like, that right there is a sign. It is a sign that good things are going to happen. So, yes, there was a rainbow over Ben Mookie Thomas's house, and I got to meet the lovely Mrs. Thomas and the internet famous Griffin, who Ben has decided he's going to make him an internet sensation with pop rocks and break dancing and all kinds of other stuff. I got to meet Mia and Frank the Wonder Dog, and if you guys follow us on Instagram, and if you don't follow us on Instagram and you have Instagram, I really don't know what to say to you except that you're wrong and you need to fix yourself. But we put a picture of Frank the Wonder Dog up, and Frank the Wonder Dog is very small, and Ben has had him a long, long time. And I said, Zach, Zach, you guys know, well, maybe you don't, but if you listen to us, you know that Zach, the shipping ogre, is also the social media guy. He's the one that posts all the stuff on Facebook and Instagrammage and all that jazz. So Zach snapped a photo and he put it up on Instagram and said, Frank is looking for a loving home. He has tiny paws and a big heart, and he's looking for a loving home. And people are like, well, we'll drive over to Biloxi. I'm like, no, it won't do you any good to drive to Biloxi because Frank doesn't live in Biloxi. Frank the Wonder Dog lives in Florida. Well, what do you talk about when you have a Pimps Council meeting with Mookie Thomas? You talk about Halloween, and you talk about lots of stuff. And we had quite a conversation. We didn't talk only. We actually spent very little time talking about gun-related stuff, like Spike's tactical stuff.
You talked about all the steak and sizzle.
Yeah, we talked about all the steak, not the sizzle. Yeah. But had a great time. It was the trip was a whirlwind. I mean, we were gone maybe not quite 48 hours. Like I said, put about 1,400 miles on the truck. Here's what I want to tell you guys. The Busy Bee truck stop on I-10 near Live Oak, Florida, has the nicest bathroom of any truck stop rest area that I have ever been in my life. You want to hear something funny, Jared? So I pull up to the pump. I'm going to top off the truck. Zach gets out. He's like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll meet you inside. That's okay. So I fill up the truck, park it, get out because we were going to get something to eat. I walk in, and Zach's standing there. He goes, do you need to go to the bathroom? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, just go. I'm like, okay, Zach, I promise to. He's like, no, go to the bathroom. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. You walk in there. There are huge potted plants. There's a HD screen with like a waterfall, an outdoor waterfall scene, and they're pumping in serene nature sounds like birds chirping and the waterfall running and things like that. There's wood paneling. Everything is clean. It's like you almost don't want to go to the bathroom in that room because it's so nice. It was the nicest restroom. I wanted to get my phone out and take a picture of it, and I thought that would be really creepy for me to stand here with my phone out in the men's room. But it's huge. It's huge. It's nice. It smells nice. It's clean. They have an attendant that is on duty all the time to make sure that it does. It's the Busy Bee, and I get nothing from this. The Busy Bee, like truck stop, gas station, whatever, in Live Oak, Florida. Right, it's off I-10. It's real close to the I-10, I-75 interchange. Crazy talk, crazy. I was so impressed by it. I was like, Zach, I gotta have to tell people about this. And they sell Yuengling there too. Yes, I felt like a bootlegger. So I'm on the road. And as we've discussed previously on the Grad Program Hour, you can't get Yuengling beer in Mississippi for whatever weird reason, but you can get it in the surrounding states. So Jared sends me texts like, don't forget. So I'm like a bootlegger. Every time I stop, I pick up a 6-pack and put it in the back seat. And so, yeah, I covered it up with a blanket so that the revenuers wouldn't see it when I crossed the border.
And now I can enjoy some Yuengling.
So now we have cold Yuengling in the official Student of the Gun refrigerator, the official refrigerator that has stickers all over. And by the way, I have my official Mookie Militia sticker, which is going on the refrigerator very soon.
I need to post pictures up at the bar. We have an official Student of the Gun break room bar thingy. We don't sell beer, but we drink.
A wooden beer?
Yeah.
A wooden beer. A wooden bar.
Beer. A wooden bar, yeah.
It's not a wooden beer.
We have a bartender, and now we have a bar. So.
And speaking of which, I got to drink a Funky Buddha beer.
How was that?
It was kind of funky. Well, it wasn't funky bad. It was the sweet potato beer.
Did you drink it and then say, it was, Sweet Buddha on a rubber rest?
It was sweet potato beer from the Funky Buddha Brewery.
So would you say that was Sweet Buddha beer?
It was a sweet, funky Buddha beer.
Huh.
Because Ben walks out and he's, dude, Sweet Buddha. And he hands it to me.
That's funny.
I saved the bottle. Maybe I'll put it up on a shelf over my bed in my dorm room.
Oh, no. What you need to do, you drank out of it, right? We can auction that on eBay.
Yeah, it's empty. It's been consumed, yeah. I'm sure that people can buy it somewhere.
It's like buying a used mouth guard.
Yeah, no kidding. We got our new mouth guards in, not our used ones
Yeah.
in. And if you don't know what we're talking about, then you're not following Student of the Guns Facebook, and shame on you. Or our Twitter feed either. The last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is a really, really cool quote. On the way back in, we stopped at a, what the heck is the name? TA truck stop. The red, white, and blue ones, when they have the Country Pride diners. You guys are the truck stops that have the Country Pride diners. So we walk in there, and they have these. They've renovated it recently. It's really nice. They have signs with quotes. They have motivational quotes. Every booth has a motivational quote. I had a motivational quote from Walt Disney about your dreams in my booth, and I put a picture up on all of our social media. On the Facebook and on the Instagram, I took a picture of this sign. And the words on the sign are this: liberty is the right to choose. Freedom is a result of the right choice. Microphone drop, walk off stage. How often have we been saying that? That in America, we're always talking about freedom, freedom. I have the freedom to do this. I'm free. I have freedom to do this, and freedom, freedom. Freedom means nothing without liberty. And liberty is like light. Liberty is energy. Liberty requires energy to exist. It's a positive energy, just like light is a positive energy. So liberty is the right to choose. Freedom is a result of the right choice. And brothers and sisters, I want you to take that with you. Put that little feather in your cap as you go throughout your week. It is Monday, so we're going to start the week off on a high note. Don't forget about our friends at Velocity Triggers. Designed for precision. You got a black rifle, they got a trigger for you. And Crossbreed Holsters. Crossbreed Holsters. If you're carrying a gun, carry a Crossbreed. Carry the cross. We will talk to you tomorrow. More to come, I promise. Thanks.